finally understand what it means to be happy as a clam. Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to Story Saturday. So this past week I had to do something that I didn't want to do, nor that I thought I would have to do. I hoped that I would have a bigger aquarium when this event happened, but nonetheless, I had to rehome my blue Squamosa clam. I got this clam around 2011. I was with Amanda and my buddy Sean. We had gone out to a fish store, and all the clams that were around this area were around $100, $120 back then, and this clam was about this big and it was only $40. So seeing as it was a heck of a lot cheaper than all the other clams that I saw, and seeing as I wanted a clam really bad for my aquarium, I decided to pick it up. I paid the $40, put it in my aquarium, and that's where this thing stayed until this past Wednesday. Like I said, when I got this clam, it was about this big. It was a good 4 to 6 inches or so. When I decided to take it out of my tank on Wednesday, when I decided to bring it down to the local fish store to rehome it, the clam was about this big. It was, I kid you not, as wide as this bucket is. The clam fit inside of this bucket. I had this whole plan in my mind where I was going to take a gallon-sized Ziploc freezer bag, put a couple of them inside of each other, and then put some water in there, put the clam in there, because these clams should not be exposed to air at all. So my plan was going to be to take these Ziploc bags with the clam in it, lift it out of the aquarium, put it into another bucket, not the bucket that I'm sitting on, one that's about half the size, and initially, right when I started lining up these Ziploc bags with the tank, this thing did not fit. So after a lot of searching in the house to find an appropriate container, I ended up using a big salad bowl that is made of plastic. I had to move a couple pieces of coral around in the fish tank to actually get the big bowl into the fish tank, to get the clam with water into the bowl, and then to take the bowl out. I put a little bit of sand on the bottom of the bowl just to give the clam kind of some sort of a base so it wasn't really wiggling around that much, because I didn't want the shell to break on it. And of course, when I went to put the bowl inside of the bucket, it was literally like this much room on the side. There was that much clearance to put the bowl into the bucket. I actually had to kind of bend the bowl a little bit and get it really, really close to the clam shell to slide it down the bucket. Got my fingers stuck in there. Had to end up putting another 1.5 gallons inside the bucket. So I ended up taking 3 gallons out of the aquarium just to transport this clam down about a 25 minute drive away from my house. So before I even left the house with the clam, I had to top off the aquarium, replace the water that I had just taken out. So it was this whole morning long process. I was up the entire night before because I couldn't sleep at all. I just kept thinking about the clam, how much I was going to miss it. I was really heartbroken that I had to give this thing up. That is something that I've grown with this clam for the past, like I said, 6 or so years, 5 or 6 years, and I've watched this thing grow from a little tiny baby to this massive clam. So many different things have changed in my life and this entire clam's lifespan in my aquarium. It was something to me I did not. Anybody knows this. If you ever had a dog or a cat or any type of pet and you have to give the pet up as opposed to the pet just dying of old age or dying of a disease, it's a lot harder to let go of something that's still alive, still, you know, you have feelings and emotions and you care for it, everything like that. Like this clam was in my tank. I looked at this clam every single day for the past 6 years of my life, along with the fish and everything else that's in there. But nonetheless, I brought the bucket down, put it in my truck, secured it in the back seat. I actually took the front seat, moved it all the way forward, put the bucket in the back, put some towels and stuff around the bucket just to kind of hold it in place, then slid the seat all the way back so it formed a vise or a press with the 2 seats, the front seat and the back seat in between with the bucket. And then I very slowly drove all the way out to Feeding Hills to the fish store down there. And the reason I brought it to this fish store is because every time we've gone in there since this place has been open, this place has been open for a very long time, way longer than I've even been in the hobby, but you would go in there and in their display tank was a clam that was about the size of a basketball. No lie, this clam was the size of a basketball. Its clam shell was the size of a basketball. It was a lot bigger with the mantle sticking out. I believe the aquarium he has is like a 200 or a 300 gallon aquarium, but nonetheless, I always saw the clam in there. This guy always had clams for sale, so I figured this would be a perfect place to bring it. So that's just what I did. About 11:15, 11:20 on Wednesday morning, this past Wednesday, I arrived. I brought the clam in there. He had to move a couple pieces around because the clam was a lot bigger than he initially thought it was, because I took some pictures. I showed him the pictures of the clam, just tried to set up a date and time and everything like that to make it convenient. I also even had to see if he would even take the clam as a new home, or take the clam into a new home is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, a little bit of planning went into this. It was a very, very long day. He eventually got the clam into the aquarium. Put these pictures up right here. This thing literally was in the tank for not even 15 to 30 seconds, and it opened up fully. It opened up bigger than it had ever opened up in my aquarium because it had been pressed for room the past couple months. The way I have the rocks in the back kind of stop here, and the front of the tank was there. So just imagine the clams in the middle, and it would open up and it would tap itself on the glass and tap itself on the rock, not being able to fully expand itself. But like I said, the guy put it in the aquarium. The thing opened right up, full color, everything like that. It looked just the same as it did in my aquarium. And then I decided to pick up this clam right here. He traded me my big clam for this little clam and this plate coral right here. So it wasn't bad. I mean, it was even better to see that the clam inside of its new home opened up right away. I guess that's where the expression happy as a clam is, or happy as a clam comes from, because this thing was happy. It looked like it never even left my tank. Granted, the entire time I had brought it over to the fish store, it was fully opened in the bucket, and I was just wondering what was going on. Probably not, because it doesn't have a brain. But anyways, that is my clam story, and seeing how this is one of my local fish stores I will be in on a weekly or every other week basis to see this clam, because it's in the guy's display tank. He says he's not going to sell it, so hopefully he will stay in there for many years to come, and I'll be able to look at it and everything like that. But if you guys enjoyed the story, let me know by hitting the thumbs up button. If you have ever been forced to rehome an animal that it wasn't quite your time, or you weren't ready to give it up at that point in time, let me know what your story is by commenting down below. I'll see everybody on Monday for My Tech Monday. Peace.